My name is Heather Robertson Devine. This is Monday's Libro de Lunes. Every Monday I share a book with you. I do a book talk so that you can decide if it's a good fit for your child or perhaps for your classroom and your curriculum. I'm a 17-year bilingual teacher, and so I can't help but want to tell you all about how to use this book for your classroom. As well as Bookstelser specializes in books for schools and classrooms, so let's have at it. So today's book is called El Cóndor y la Pastora. This is a folktale, a myth, a legend, and let's talk about that. Let's just start there. So it was early in the summer. I presented at Teaching for Biliteracy, and one of the founders of Teaching for Biliteracy, Cheryl Oro, asked me, she said, hey, can you get some books together that are myths, legends, folktales? And I was like, hey, Cheryl, what do you think the difference is between those? And she's like, and then we had this great conversation about it, and this is what I'd like to say to you. I'd like to say that how they're defined is also cultural, right? And I'll share with you the standards that they're mentioned in, but I would just like to say that I'm going to share with you today the definition in this book, which I think is really beautiful. So in this book today, it says in the jacket of the book, I'm going to read it to you, Colección Pueblos y Originarios. So it's from the collection of pueblos, the original villages. And it says, Editorial Amanuta. Amanuta is the publishing house, presents una colección de libros infantiles basados en mitos, leyendas, or, this is my favorite, so myths, legends, or creencias del pueblo que habitaron el territorio americano antes de la conquista europea. So it says, based in myths, legends, or beliefs of the villages that have inhabited the American territory before the European conquest. So it's not just, it's also, it's using the different words, but also defining it, which I really appreciate from a publisher. And that's the quality publishers that we work with at Bookstelser, and I'm so grateful to, I'm so grateful for their work. So this is an example of one of their books from that collection, and it's El Cóndor y la Pastora es un cuento basado en la leyenda atacameña. So it's one from the legends of the Atacama Desert. So for our book talk, I will walk you through it, and then in the end, which is unusual, I will give you some examples of how you can use it in your classroom. Okay, so this is a story of this pastora, okay, and what confused me in the beginning is that she's a young girl, and you'll see why it's a little bit confusing. So she's in her pasture in the Desierto de la Atacama, so in the Atacama Desert, which is one of the driest deserts in the world and an amazing place for you to study with your students. And then she's out with her llamas, which reminds me of the other book, Maria tiene una llama, right? Oh, sorry, one thing I didn't mention is this is a great book for 2nd or 3rd grade, and you can see it in the text, but the vocabulary is a little bit intense. So when she was walking, in the pasture with her llama, she came across un joven, a young person, and the joven said, "Hey, do you want to go for a walk on my shoulders?" This is where I was like, "Wait, what?" Because she is young, okay, and the friend is young, so she's like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great. I've been walking a long time." So the youngster gives her a ride on the shoulders, and he goes faster and faster and faster, and all of a sudden he transforms into a condor. Can you believe that? So then she is flying and flying. Sure enough, she is taken away, she is left in a cave. The condor takes her to a cave far away up in the Cordillera de los Andes, so up in the Andean mountains. She is scared as she is up there. And all of a sudden, it's not a zorro. I keep thinking it's a zorro, but it's not. No, yeah, it's a zorro. a Soro comes and talks to her, and she says, "Could you please help me? Could you please tell my brother that I am up here and have him come rescue me?" And her brother's name is really interesting. Her brother's name is Urukutu. So it's a very interesting name. Great conversation around language and phonemes for that name. So Orokuro is walking, and the Soro finds him, and he's following the hieroglyphos, which is also, you'll see at the end, the great vocabulary support. And she finds him, and then her brother comes and rescues her. So her brother comes and rescues her, which is amazing. She gets home, and when she gets home, what happens to her? What changes? Yeah, she has wings like a condor. Oh, isn't that amazing? Oops, I almost gave it away. So then her brother says, I'm going to help you, and because I'm afraid that the condor is going to come back. And sure enough, he hides his sister in this large jar, and the condor does come back. And it's just about time they think he's clear, and then she soon converts into a condor herself. And she ends up flying away with the other condor, and they live in the Cordillera de los Andes forever. So there's so many things you could think about this book, right? Like what? She converts into a condor, and then she goes and lives in the Andes after her brother comes and saves her? So interesting. Like, what's the metaphor here, right? So it's a great place for discussion. It can be about, like, you know, how we identify ourselves, how we meet other people and they change us, it could be a metaphor for her going to the other side of life, like her passing away. It could be a metaphor for lots of things. And so that's why these folktales are such a great discussion. And what's the lesson in the end? So this isn't necessarily a fable where there's a lesson in the end. This is more so a story about a legend or maybe the origins of the condors, right? What I love about this book, and many of the books at Amanuta do this, there's a glossario, so there's different descriptions of different words in the book. It talks about the llama, the condor, atacameño, zorro, telar. There's a small part in there and the hieroglyphos, and then the caravana. So all kinds of great text supports here to really support the text and to really have some conversations about the folktale, different words and different meaning. So this is a pretty fun book. It's a great book for levels 2, 3. Today's book and today's myth is El Cóndor y la Pastora. It's the story of this pastora and how she converts into a condor. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I hope you have a great week. I'm very grateful for you joining me today. I hope that you open a book and open yourself up to a new world.